How do you feel about salesmen? Oh, I saw those twinges. In fact, some was shaking. Yeah, I feel that way too. There's something about salesmen that the only thing that's worst is probably getting a notice from the IRS, maybe having a root canal, or hearing your proctologist say, this might be a little bit uncomfortable. But how do you feel about being in the sales business? I know what you're thinking, but I'm not in sales. I'm an engineer or a teacher or a urologist, and I don't sell anything. Well, that's how I thought as well, until I met Bob. And then things changed. I was 19 years old, and I was serving a mission for my church, and I had knocked on Bob's door, and he answered the door and filled the frame. And he said, "What are you selling?" And just his appearance had me kind of shaken and ready to run. But I mustered up as much courage as I could and said it as bravely as I could. "I'm not selling anything." To this, the scowl on his face turned into a great big smile and said, "Ha, son, everybody's in sales." That experience of meeting Bob Wiley, a professional sales coach, changed my life. And I'd like to share with you a couple of secrets. The first one, you were born to sell. Now, from the Gospel of Bob Wiley, everyone is in sales. But maybe you're not thinking that you are in sales. But let me ask you a couple of questions here, maybe to help you identify the first time you made a sale. Have you ever sold lemonade in paper cups on the sidewalk? Yeah, I see some of you have. Have you ever sold something of a commodity state like your rock collection in a red wagon going door to door? My son was really good at it, and I couldn't believe how much he made. Maybe this one. Have you ever tried to tell your mom you were too sick to go to school? Aha. You all have dabbled in sales. Well, Bob Wiley taught me that the difference between being in the business of sales and being a sales professional is about attitude, skills, and knowledge. He shared with me a program that he called Ask for Action. Attitude is the A, skills is the S, and K is the knowledge. And it is formulated around a triangle. Now, some of us can't remember high school geometry, but just as a refresher, a triangle is one of the strongest elements in mechanical engineering. In structures, you'll see it all over the place. But the strongest out of that obtuse, acute, and the equilateral triangle is an equilateral triangle. The sides of an equilateral triangle are all equal. The other part that you should remember is that the size of the triangle is associated with the length of each leg. This metaphor that Bob taught me was associated with taking attitude, skills, and knowledge and associating it with a triangle. It was a metaphor for how we can actually improve ourselves. He called this his sales triangle because as you increase your knowledge, you actually increase your ability to sell. If you increase your attitude, you can actually increase your ability to sell as well. And the practice of those coming into play becomes skills. Catch the metaphor? Good. So let's put it to practice. let's introduce a new concept of sales, because professional sales is all about drama. Well, the acronym DRAMA. So D stands for demonstrate, R for recommend, A is for arithmetic, M for measure, and A for assure. Now, I don't have time to go into the details of these. That's on another video. However, let's take our common experience of trying to sell Mom on not sending us to school because we're too sick and apply it to this. What was the first thing that you did to convince your mom that you were too sick to go to school?
Demonstrate you were sick.
Demonstrate. Number one, it was, Mom, I just don't feel too well. The next step was that you made a recommendation. I don't think I'm well enough to go to school. Followed by this next step of arithmetic. So, what's arithmetic? Well, that's where you start thinking of those pros and cons and why you shouldn't go. And, you know, it just doesn't make sense, Mom. I'm sick. I won't be able to stay awake in class. Well, some of us had problems with Psychology 101 every single day, so maybe that was weak. But you still tried to weigh the costs. The next step was you actually placed some measurements. And this is a little bit hard to contemplate, but, you know, there is a benefit, Mom, for me staying home. I will get better faster, and I might not have to miss multiple days. Then comes the reassurance or the assure that the person made the right decision. Mom, you know you made the right decision because we didn't want to create a pandemic by me going to school. See, some of you are actually pretty good at sales. But I know what you're thinking. I still hate sales. Well, maybe I can change that perspective a little bit. In order to understand and to see a difference between what Bob was trying to teach me, we have to break the stereotype of salesmen. And that is the difference between a trusted counselor and just your ordinary salesperson. Let me share a story that might illustrate. Tom Campbell, the first time I met him, was in a cold call at the business which I worked at, and it was 5 minutes in length. He left me with his card, and his comment was, Rheid, I can help you solve your biggest problems. Just give me a chance. I said, thank you. Saw him walk out, walked up to my office, dropped the business card on my desk. I almost threw it in the garbage and thought, well, I'll never see him again. That was a Monday morning. Thursday, I get a follow-up call. Hey, Rheid, I've been thinking about you. I understand your networking problems, the things that you're dealing with. I have some engineers coming to show us some new equipment on Wednesday. Could you come? Sorry, Tom. I don't think Wednesday's going to work. Oh, that's okay. I think you'd love to meet these guys. They talk your speak. Well, I really can't. Well, that's okay. Tell me, Rheid, what is your biggest problem that you're working on right now? I have to admit, I initially thought, talking to you. But I didn't. I said, well, Tom, I have 2 file servers that are crashing randomly. I have the guys in the warehouse that keep saying that their network computers are flaky, and I have some issues with employees. He says, well, tell me about those file servers. He says, that's okay. He says, no, really. What type of servers do you have? I said, I've got compact servers. Well, what are they doing? And then I explained just in a brief few words what I was experiencing. He says, let me get back to you on that. I says, no, you don't need to. We'll take care of it. Okay, thanks. Hung up. Didn't think I'd hear from Tom again. The next morning, 9:30, I get a phone call from Tom. Rheid, just wanted you to know that I talked it over with our techs. We made phone calls to Compaq, and we believe you have some bad memory in those servers. Here's how you troubleshoot it. Let me know what happens. That afternoon, we fixed 2 servers, and Tom became a trusted counselor. Over the next 2 years, Tom sold our organizations hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment and services just because he sold solutions. The difference between a salesperson and a trusted counselor, there's 5 traits. Let me share with you those traits. And if you want to know more, there's a video about this as well. First, a trusted counselor, he identifies your needs. Tom did. He identified my most pressing need, and that was crashing servers. 2, you have to build trust. This takes time. And to be true blue, it takes a lot of effort. 3, provide solutions. Tom wasn't in it for just a quick sell. He was there to help me solve solutions. In fact, meeting with Tom for lunch one afternoon, I said, why do you enjoy your job so much? He says, well, it's not the money and selling the equipment, but that's a necessity. It's helping you solve your biggest problems. Number 4, anticipate objections. That was one of the things I didn't even think about until Tom helped me through that. The last item is that you actually encourage making decisions and making them effectively. That's what this trusted counselor should do. So let me tell you that maybe from this perspective of looking at sales a little bit differently and considering this triangle, today your triangle might be a little bit bigger, although it might be a little bit obtuse because you've learned maybe some skills about the drama, or not skills, but you've learned some knowledge about drama, so this has increased some. And maybe your attitude has changed a little bit and increased because now you don't look at sales as a stereotypical salesman. Well, the next step is up to you. And I would encourage you to watch the next video. Thank you.